Good evening. Well, quite a message we heard last night. There is no corporeal creation. We are having a corporeal sense of the incorporeal creation. But that sense doesn't make it real. The sense, the corporeal sense we are having, doesn't make that sense real. Now think about that. If the corporeal sense we are having isn't real, there is no reality we can bring to it. There is no God, there is no truth, spirit. There is no truthful life, harmony, abundance, joy, freedom we can bring to the corporeal sense, because that corporeal sense is unreal. It is sense only, a false or illusory sense only. Now, this is the single most important aspect of truth we can bring up from consciousness, bring through as our awareness. And I want to tonight give you a practicality so that you can start immediately to release yourself from the false sense and find yourself fully living, fully being, in full awareness of the incorporeal reality that you are, that God is, that all is, therefore. Let's start by realizing that it is the freedom of the sense, the corporeal sense. It is the detachment from the corporeal sense we're having of the incorporeal reality that brings us right back home into the reality and allows the tangible experience of that infinite I that we each are to be tangibly witnessed as the him, her, it of our worldly experience. It is the unbelieving of that which appears, the corporeal sense. Therefore, the detachment from it that brings us home in truth. And so right now, observe something in your room and realize that you are having a corporeal sense of that which is actually and only incorporeal. And that corporeal sense has it looking, has it appearing, has it acting, has it being as the way it appears to be. But there is no truth to the way it's appearing to be, no matter what it is you're observing. The only truth is that you are having a corporeal sense of the very presence of that which is only and forever incorporeal. And as incorporeal, the whole of God, the whole of omnipresence, spirit, heaven, bliss, completeness. And so you are having a corporeal sense of the whole of the incorporeal, which is the whole of God, right there as that very place, that very him or her or it or thing or amount you're observing corporeally. This is the real secret of truthful awareness and truthful living. The corporeal sense does not make that sense real, even in experience. It is unreal, even in experience. It is nothing. It has no power, no law, no principle, no substance, no form, no being, no life, no amount of its own self. And the only power we give it is that power we invest in it by our belief and then our attachment to that which we believe about it, And then because consciousness is experience, that belief and attachment becomes our experience of that very him, her, or it, that very amount, that very condition or activity that we're observing. But the moment you realize of everything you can name, in other words, everything of experience, that you are having of it a corporeal sense of that which is actually incorporeal, you find your release from it. We are free the moment we realize this. There is no corporeal creation. I'm having a corporeal sense of the incorporeal creation, the incorporeal infinity of being, the incorporeal awareness, the incorporeal body, the incorporeal world, the incorporeal supply or dollar or infinite form. Do you see? I'm having a corporeal sense of life. But life is incorporeal only. I am having a corporeal sense of body, but body is incorporeal only. I am having a corporeal sense of a dollar, but presence or supply or abundance or infinity is incorporeal. So even as I am having this corporeal sense, I'm witnessing the incorporeal. There's the freedom, there's the detachment, and there is the infinity of being and thing, and the freedom of being and thing instantly. Because now we're not seeking a corporeal improvement or a corporeal healing or a corporeal amount, a corporeal activity or joy or fulfillment. We are seeking the incorporeal now that we know that only the incorporeal is. And so from this very moment you realize consciously, as you observe absolutely everyone and everything, as you are active in your work, in your charity, in your giving or serving or sharing, in your social activities as well, everything, you realize consciously that I am having a corporeal sense of the very presence of the incorporeal. That's all. And that sense doesn't make a reality, even a false reality. It makes a false sense, but never a false reality. And because it's not a false reality, I don't have to do anything with it. I don't have to desire anything for it or of it of its own self. I can leave it alone. And yet, as I am consciously aware and now consciously living the truth that I'm having a corporeal sense of that which is actually incorporeal, therefore the whole of God everywhere present, therefore the whole of life and the whole of infinity and the whole of love and the whole of joy and freedom everywhere present as the entirety of my world experience, I will witness the experience, the three-dimensional experience, fed with, supplied by and filled with the freedom and the fulfillment and the infinity of the incorporeal it actually is. Now, you will witness miracles in every department of life as you bring this awareness up into consciousness and live it. As you stay detached from everything of the explainable or nameable experience, in the realization that it's actually incorporeality you're observing, simply sensed corporeally, and you spend your time, here's the thing, you spend your time, you spend your minutes, your 10 minutes and 30 and 60 minutes throughout the day and night, filling yourself full and being aware and being interested in the awareness of the incorporeal alone, realizing that you never needed to and were never expected to, were never asked of truth to, do anything about the corporeal sense you're having. Because it looks after itself. Once it's fed with truth, fed with the incorporeal awareness, miracles are witnessed as that corporeal sensed experience. Miracles. Miracles of life. Even miracles of life where there was death, as we heard yesterday. Even miracles of abundance where there was near bankruptcy, or even bankruptcy itself. Miracles of regeneration. Miracles of peace and harmony. U-turns in decision-making, whether it be individuals or groups or governments. The stopping of, literally the stopping of, and we witness this regularly, of tornadoes or hurricanes or tsunamis or earthquakes or whatever it may be. Literally what seems to be the conditions of nature or the activities of the natural world, which include good and bad, just as all experience includes good and bad, can be depleted, can be made immune in the awareness that the sense I am having is a false corporeal sense of that which actually is the incorporeal harmony. It doesn't matter how grave or serious or urgent or overwhelming the corporeal sense is in terms of discord or disharmony or disease or illness or poverty, lack or limitation of some form of good and safety and harmony. It doesn't matter. Or how little it seems to be, or how small it seems to be. It matters not. What matters is the realization that all experience that we can name, all corporeal experience, is simply a corporeal sense of that which is incorporeal, and then to leave it alone, completely leave it alone, detach, take your belief away, your interest away, your concern, your effort away, and come home in the incorporeal and fill yourself full of the living awareness of the incorporeal being the only, and then let it live you as the entirety of experience. In other words, your entire magnified experience. Now, how do you do that? Well, let's do it together now. Immediately come home, come here, into the incorporeal. Realize gently to yourself, there is no corporeal creation. This is a spiritual universe. I am a spiritual being. God is spirit and truth. God is incorporeality. Therefore, this is an incorporeal universe. I am an incorporeal being. Everything, everywhere is the incorporeal presence of God, spirit, truth. Therefore, I am already whole and complete, harmonious, joyous. I have infinity as all experience, all resource. I have love as all experience, all resource, all relationship, all activity. The impulse of my being is love. Therefore, giving, serving, sharing. I have this, I am this already. I don't have to find it. It's already found me. I don't have to do anything about it. It's already done everything about it. It already is the fullness of itself as I, in every way, completely and utterly magnified throughout and as infinity, way beyond, infinitely beyond the world and universe the mind can describe. This is the truth of you, the truth of me, the truth of everyone everywhere. And so all you have to do is realize this and then rest. Let it be the living awareness of you. Let it be the doer. Remember, I of my own self can do nothing, because I of my own self am nothing. So, once I realize this, I've let go of the world, I'm filling myself full of the awareness of the incorporeal being the only, then I am home. I realize I am and have all of incorporeality already, and now I rest and let the incorporeal simply be. You see, we're not even wanting the incorporeal to do anything. Do you see we've gone beyond doing or needing anything to be done? You see, nothing needs be done once we're resting in the incorporeal wholeness of being. Nothing is left to do. Everything's already done. The finished kingdom of God is the only kingdom, and that kingdom embraces or includes absolutely everything of infinity and eternity as the I that I am. So what is there to do? So when we say, let Spirit do the work, or the Father within me, He does the work, realize that this is a work of awareness, but not for anything, awareness of that which already is, but not, again, for anything. Everything is already. Can you rest there? Remember, we're speaking of everything of incorporeality is. Can you rest there? Really, there is deep and quick and thorough rest of being as we realize I am the incorporeal being living in the incorporeal world or universe. Now Psalm 23 makes more sense than perhaps it ever has. The Lord is my shepherd. The incorporeal is my shepherd. I shall not want, because there is nothing to want. I am whole and complete, infinitely and eternally, here and now, because I've finally woken up to the truth that God is incorporeal, therefore I am an incorporeal being living in an incorporeal universe which is ever complete at every point of itself at the same time. Nothing can be withheld from my experience, nothing can be added to my experience, because all already is, and that all is incorporeal, therefore right here, right now, forever. He makes me to rest in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. Do you see, there it is. He makes me to rest in green pastures. He doesn't make me to labour, to have to effort for my good or my survival even. He makes me, I am that being that rests in the green pastures of the bliss of itself, the ecstasy of itself, the wholeness, the completeness, the infinity of being of itself. He leads me beside still waters. Everywhere I go, there are still waters. There are no storms, there is no illness, disease, lack, limitation. There are only the still waters of the incorporeal self living in the completely blissful, finished incorporeal universe. He restores my soul. The incorporeal awareness and the resting in it restores my awareness. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Everywhere I go, I am led in the path of truth. I'm led in the experience of truth. Everywhere I go, incorporeality lives my consciousness, and I feed my world with that awareness, and thereby witness in the stillness of my being, the effortless being, the evidence, the truth, the fruits of the incorporeal wholeness as everyone and everything I observe and everything I do. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, this is, yea, though I witness corporeal sense, I witness corporeal discord, disharmony, lack, limitation, sadness, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou art with me. The incorporeal, the truth, is with me, living as my very alive consciousness, feeding my world, fueling my world, being the very conscious oneness of truth as I. And that truth, that incorporeal presence of truth living me, which I feel in the stillness of my being, the silence of my being, the receptivity of my being now that I'm at rest. Stillness, I have no fear. I realize I need make no effort. I do not have to heal. I do not have to correct. I do not have to prosper or pacify that which I'm witnessing. This is the valley of the shadow of death. I need do none of this because I realize that actually I am only having a corporeal sense of that which is actually and forever incorporeal, therefore complete and whole and perfect, and therefore in that realization I watch as the discordant appearances turn into or resolve themselves or dissolve into and reveal the truth of all experience, the harmony, the love, the life, the prosperity, the safety, the security of all experience. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. There it is, wherever I am, no matter what the corporeal sense is, good or bad, actually the incorporeal awareness that's now living as my very consciousness prepares a table before me in the very presence of that which appears discordant, in the very presence of illness, disease, poverty, loneliness, lack. And thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. In other words, wherever I am as the consciousness of incorporeality, and wherever I am in my stillness, my silence, feeling the presence, feeling the living presence of truth, there it is that my head is anointed with the oil of truth, the activity, the awareness of truth, and my cup runs over with good. This very place I stand, this very activity I'm involved in, runs over with good, is full of good. Surely thy goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I shall dwell in the consciousness of truth, the consciousness of incorporeality forever. I was reading from Lamsa, by the way. Now, I think that gives you a working way of truth. And I suggest that you listen to class 2, last night's class, over and over and over. As you know, we've divided it in 2 parts. It was a long class and I think is more digestible in 2 parts. So listen to those 2 parts over and over and over, and stop the recording every time something registers, and let that registered truth take root in and through your silence. Gently ponder it as you're sitting in stillness. And when you feel the peace or feel the release of it, then be utterly silent and let it live itself, the incorporeal truth, the incorporeal awareness of what's been registered in consciousness. And then you will very quickly witness that incorporeal peace living you, the incorporeal fruits living you, filling your universe, and then you will witness those incorporeal fruits as the fruits sensed corporeally. But remember, your sensing of them corporeally is by no means anything to do with you, and by no means anything you have to be involved in. If you do think it's something to do with you, some trickery or some truth consciousness that you're bringing to bear upon the appearing world, then you're mistaken. Leave the world alone. Leave the corporeal sense completely and utterly alone, in the realization that it is false corporeal sense alone of that which is actually incorporeal, and therefore already and thoroughly complete. Thoroughly meaning throughout the entirety of your experience. Even though the false sense suggests it isn't, perhaps at this moment, it is, and it always is. And therefore, by leaving that sense alone, by detaching from it completely, by withdrawing belief and concern and effort from it completely, and coming home and staying home in the realization that despite that false sense, actually the whole of experience is already harmonious and full and complete, filled with abundance of all form, and as much of all form as you could ever want in a gazillion lifetimes, then it is that you are bringing your whole awareness into that which is real. And that awareness which is now real is the window of consciousness that enables truth to now be perfectly visible and tangible, manifest and demonstrated as your every step and every breath, your every activity, every place you are, everything you witness. This is exactly what Psalm 23 is speaking of. Everywhere you are, there is the harmony, the table prepared for you, your being anointed with oil, your cup running over. Where the presence of the Lord is, there is liberty. I don't know what you're feeling, but I feel as if we've managed to hear this class, in just the first two classes, the truth that is to lift the group right into the complete and whole experience of truth. I think a magical thing has happened. Maybe even a miraculous thing has happened. It really feels like this to me. So please do work with these classes and work with this class as well. And let me remind you how this class came about, and that is through an apparent discord of mine in forgetting to send out the reminder of the telephone and pin, and the prompt therefore to kind of make up for it to everybody in giving this live class tonight. But you see, it was always to be so, as it turns out. And this is the way truth always turns out. It was always to be so. And the very, as Lao Tzu says, the very form or seeming form of discord that we're presented with actually is the very place of harmony, and that discord is the catalyst that lifts us out of that discordant belief and attachment into truth, which is into the incorporeal awareness, living again high in consciousness, illumined in consciousness again, And then as soon as that happens, and we're fulfilled with that incorporeal experience happening as our living being, then our consciousness indeed is clear, is empty of the false corporeal sense, by definition, and is the transparency for that incorporeal fulfillment of being to now be evident as corporeal sense of it in what we call this world's harmony, life, abundance, freedom, love, happiness, and truth. All right, I think that's it for tonight. I don't want to complicate it by trying to add more. So thank you so very much again, and I look forward so much to being with you again on Monday next. Thank you, thank you.
I hope you enjoy this spiritual audio. Like, share and subscribe for more.